These are 36 details you missed in Logan. Number 1. While this isn't the first X-Men movie to have the opening Marvel comic logo, this is the first one to feature key scenes that have been seen in previous films, with recognizable characters such as Juggernaut and Jean Grey. Number 2. After Logan deals with the carjackers in the parking lot, he drives off and leaves the bodies behind. We can see that his license plate reads WER-112. This could be a reference to the Uncanny X-Men issue 112, where Magneto reverts the X-Men back to their childhood appearance. This ties into this film in particular as it features a child clone of Wolverine. Number 3. Logan gets dressed in the gas station bathroom and he heads back to his limo to finish his shift. We get a glimpse at his driving license on file with the company, and you can see that he's actually going by his original given name from the comics, James Howlett. Number 4. After a trying shift of businessmen and young bachelors, Logan heads to the Greenwood Cemetery for one more job. This cemetery is a staple in the Marvel comics, as this same location can be seen in issues of the Fantastic Four and Deadpool, as well as appearing in the Iron Fist Netflix series. Number 5. When Logan goes to the hospital to pick up medicine for Charles, Pierce finds him and questions him about Gabriella. At one point during the conversation, Pierce is heard saying,
"I know what you're hiding from me."
But his mouth never seems to move when we cut to his profile. Number 6. When Logan goes to the hospital to pick up medicine for Charles, Pierce finds him and questions him about Gabriella. He ends up giving him his card in case he thinks of any information, and we see that he works for Alkali Transgen. While this company is responsible for almost making mutants extinct, it shares its name with Alkali Lake, which is the location of the facility where Stryker actually experimented on Wolverine. Number 7. Charles tries to tell Logan about a new mutant he's been speaking to in his mind, and he says that they're waiting at the Statue of Liberty. After hearing this, Logan says,
"Statue of Liberty was a long time ago."
And he's referencing the fact that his very first mission with the X-Men was against Magneto at the Statue of Liberty. Number 8. Logan's home in the desert doesn't have much in the way of decorations, but he has one personal item hanging on the wall. You can see that Logan has one of the katanas that are from the Wolverine film where he's involved with the Yakuza and the mutants at the same time. Number 9. One more personal item makes an appearance as he takes a drink after wrapping his hands. Logan grabs his dog tags, which have become a staple of the character, and these are the same ones that he got from his time in the service in X-Men Origins Wolverine. Number 10. When Logan goes into Gabriella's hotel room, he takes a look around at her belongings. Interestingly enough, you can see that there are the same X-Men comics that exist in our world, and Wolverine is one of the main characters in this universe as well, as Gabriella has a hidden copy under her paperwork. Number 11. Eventually, Pierce arrives with his goons, and we can see that quite a few of them have some physical enhancements. Pierce's men are called the Ravagers, and this group has a long history with the X-Men as they were part of the Hellfire Club. It was only after an altercation with Wolverine that they were left in need of replacement body parts. Number 12. Pierce and his men raid Logan's hideout, and Logan tries to escape with Charles in the car. At the time, Laura's still supposed to be inside eating her cereal and watching the monitors, but for a brief moment when Logan turns the wheel, you can see that she's already in the back seat for the shot. Number 13. After making their escape, Charles and Logan sit to watch a recording of Gabriella which exposes the work at Transgen Research. On the pill bottle label, you can see the name of Dr. Rice, who's actually the son of one of the scientists who experimented on Logan. In fact, he was one of the first scientists that Logan killed after coming out of his tank. Number 14. Gabriella's recording continues over different points in time. We see everything that's happening to the children over the course of months. Somehow Gabriella is able to edit this entire video to look professional, even though she wouldn't have had the time or ability to do so. And she's even in some of the shots herself, as though another camera's being used the entire time to watch in third person. Number 15. At the end of the video clip from Gabriella, she explains how the mutant children were made. The phone loses its battery life before she can finish her sentence, but you can hear her say,
"These are babies of mutantes muertos."
And this is clearly meant to be muertes. That means that these children were supposed to be made from DNA of dead mutants, and they believe that Logan was dead this whole time. Number 16. Eventually, Logan takes Charles and Laura to a casino to get some rest, and they walk through the main lobby to get to their rooms. At the time, Daphne wasn't old enough to be allowed into the real casino, so an older stunt double had to be used for the shots that show her around the machines and the gambling. Number 17. Before they get to the elevator, Logan takes Charles and Laura to the nearby shop to get some new clothes, and Charles puts on a fancy new fedora. The fedora he wears resembles the one that Magneto was known to wear in multiple entries in the X-Men franchise. Number 18. Another interesting wardrobe choice is seen once Logan and the others make it up to their room. Logan's getting changed in the other room when he starts to put his boots on, and his boots of choice are actually Wolverine 1000 mile boots. Number 19. Once in the hotel room, Charles and Laura sit down to watch the Western film Shane. While they're watching the movie, Charles mentions,
I first saw this picture at the Isolde Cinema in my hometown when I was your age.
And this was a true story for Patrick Stewart, as he first saw it with his father when he was a young boy. Number 20. Logan ends up going through some old files that Gabriella had managed to steal from Transigen, and he finds out whose DNA was used for them. The first kid that he reads up on is X-2311, and his DNA sample was taken from Dominic Petros. Dominic Petros was a mutant who could create giant seismic waves through his hands. Number 21. Logan continues reading through the files, and he comes across another kid named X-2344. The DNA sample used for this child was from Christopher Bradley, and we actually met this mutant in X-Men Origins Wolverine, as he was on the team when they were first formed. Number 22. Logan continues going through Laura's bag, and he finds that she's a huge X-Men comic book fan. In fact, one of the issues that she has in her bag is number 132. In real life, this issue was the first appearance of Donald Pierce, who's also a villain in this film, who's trying to track them down. Number 23. Charles ends up having a seizure when Pierce's men show up, and Logan has to stumble up to the hotel room through the casino. While he's walking around everyone else being frozen in their place, he passes the slot machines. Even though everyone else is frozen in their spot, one of the extras who is playing the slot machines moves and looks around as though nothing's happening. Number 24. Logan takes down all of the men in the room, and he manages to stop Charles's seizure before heading downstairs to escape. On their way out of the city in the truck, the reporter on the news can be heard saying,
Many are noting a similarity to the Westchester incident over a year ago.
Westchester is where Charles's school was initially stationed, and in the comics, this is where Logan ended up killing all of the X-Men while under a spell. Number 25. Logan pulls over after seeing a family having trouble with their horses, and Charles uses his powers to calm the animals and bring them over to the trailer. In order to accomplish this moment, crew members dressed in blue screen suits had to guide the horses to their marks so that they could be digitally removed, and it looked as though it was Charles's power controlling them. Number 26. After dinner at a family's home, Logan lays Charles down upstairs to get some rest while he helps the farmer. This was originally supposed to be Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman's final appearance as Charles Xavier and Logan. 5 years later, Patrick would reprise his role in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and Hugh would reprise his role much later in Deadpool and Wolverine. Number 27. Just as the group gets comfortable at a family's home at night, X-24 enters Charles' room and kills him. When he comes face to face with Logan, he finally gets to see what they've been cooking up in the lab, but this isn't the first time Logan's faced copycats. In the comics, this version of X-24 is similar to Albert, even though Logan has also faced his own son, Dakin, aka Dark Wolverine. Number 28. Laura manages to take Logan to a nearby clinic after his fight with X-24, and when they get back to the car, he finds out that she can actually talk. Laura screams something at Logan in perfect Spanish, and it can be translated to, "Why do you want me to talk if you're always insulting me, yelling at me, if you try to leave me behind? You want me to open my mouth?" Number 29. While driving, Logan's clearly having trouble keeping himself awake, and Laura has to keep her eyes on the road. The entire time that the Bronco's moving down the road, you can see that the shifters in park whenever we see inside the car from the windshield point of view, but when we see from inside the car, the shifter's in drive. No matter what the position it's in, the car's always moving forward. Number 30. Eventually, Laura and Logan find their way to where other mutant children are finding safety, and they're waiting to make the trek to Eden. While Logan's sleeping and healing, the kids decide to give his facial hair a little trim. He ends up looking a lot more like his comic book rendition in the Old Man Logan comic series. Number 31. Logan wakes up surrounded by excited children, and he's the only adult to be seen. The whole scene was actually inspired by a similar scene in Mad Max Beyond the Thunderdome, where Max wakes up surrounded by outcast children who think he's there to save them. Number 32. Laura joins the other mutant children as they make a run for the border, but they're chased by Dr. Rice and Alkali in the forest. One of the mutants who trips and falls before two men catch up to her is actually played by the same actress who was the stunt double for Daphne Keene. Number 33. Eventually, Logan faces off against Dr. Rice and Pierce. He takes the doctor down in one cold shot. At first, though, the hand he uses to fire the weapon is in his right arm, but in the very next shot, it's in his left arm that's extended and taking the shots instead. Number 34. Logan ends up dying after X-24 slams him down on a tree trunk that has a branch that impales him. In the Wolverine, Yukio predicts that
I see you on your back. There's blood everywhere. You're holding your own heart in your hand.
And this ends up being true as Logan is impaled by the branch while laying on his back, and he's holding Laura's hand, who's become his heart. Also, she's a piece of him as she's his clone as well. Number 35. Logan takes his final breath and Laura's left with the other mutant children. Laura buries Logan and says a few words, but she's not the only one who looked up to Wolverine. One of the other mutant children can be seen carrying a classic Wolverine action figure that resembles the costume from the original comic book series. Number 36. After the funeral that the children hold for Logan, Laura's seen changing the cross to an X to represent the X-Men. Not only does this represent the X-Men, but it's also a reference to the Clint Eastwood film, The Outlaw Josie Wales. Everyone involved with this film always saw Logan having an ending like a famous Western, and in that film, Clint Eastwood's character changes the grave marker from a cross to an X as he starts his quest for revenge.